Earlier this year, I drove the Ford Mustang GT3. 815 brake horsepower, supercharged V8, adaptive spool valve shocks, active aero. It was amazing. And I confidently declared that it was the ultimate Mustang. Kind of expected that it would be, to be honest. What I didn't anticipate, however, was that just 3 months later, I would be staring down the barrel of being proved so very wrong. Welcome to the Ford Mustang GT3. Oh, wow! A fully fledged racing machine, it's capable of hammering around the world's greatest racetracks for hours at a time. It's hilariously loud, brilliantly tough, and in its own unique way, really rather beautiful.
Come on, the Mustang GT3! It's got to be the coolest GT3 car, aren't they? It has to be! But either way, you want to know what it feels like and what it sounds like to drive this car, then keep watching, although I've got to say, spoiler alert, this time it most definitely is the ultimate Mustang!
Welcome to the Algarve International Circuit, otherwise known as Portimao. It's an FIA Grade 1 track, meaning it can hold the highest level of motorsport events. Designed by Ricardo Pina, it's a captivating mix of slow and fast corners with a healthy dose of elevation change thrown in for good measure. It is the perfect place to experience the Mustang GT3 for the first time. This is the exact Mustang GT3 that I will be driving today. It's even got my name on it, look. It belongs to the HRT team and it's been doing DTM throughout 2025 and now, yeah, I'm gonna drive it. And if you're thinking, well, how different can it really be to a Mustang GTD? Then, for starters, the respective curb weights should tell you quite a lot. The Mustang GTD weighs in at 2 tons. The Mustang GT3, depending on BOP, balance of performance, weighs about 1.3 tons. So it's not a particularly light racing car, but that's still a massive difference from the road car. However, the road car also has 815 brake horsepower. And again, depending on BOP, this thing has 550 brake horsepower. And that means that power to weight, they're actually not too far apart at all. The engine in this GT3 car is a 5.4-litre naturally aspirated Coyote V8 that revs to 8,250 RPM. It's got a Bosch Motorsport ECU, dry sump, carbon prop shaft, and it's also got a 6-speed X-Track transmission. It's also located at the back of the transmission, and obviously it's rear-wheel drive. The front and rear subframes are fully removable to make it easier to repair in the event of an accident, and the suspension is double wishbone all-round with 5-way adjustable DSSV dampers by Multimatic, and that's also the company that produces the Ford Mustang GTD, incidentally. The wheels, well, we've got slick tyres on at the moment. We've also got 18-inch aluminium wheels, so not the biggest, but they have got centre locks to make them quicker to change during pit stops, and we've also got Alcon brakes as well. As for the bodywork, it's easy to change carbon fibre panels that, while heavily resembling a road-going Mustang, have been extensively modified to deliver optimum aero performance in line with GT3 rules. In total, the car makes up to 922 kilograms of downforce at 109 miles an hour through the use of a static configuration. For context, the Mustang GTD, with its active aero, which incidentally is banned in GT3, is capable of delivering 885 kilograms of downforce, but at 180 miles an hour. In short, everything on the Mustang GT3's bodywork is there for a purpose, and it's the same story in the cockpit. There's something about racing car interiors that is just so special. And it makes you think when you get in a road car and they say that it's been stripped out for like a track special Well, this is properly stripped out. Everything is super functional, but it's got its own beauty. We've got a fully integrated roll cage in here, obviously for safety reasons, a bespoke Recaro seat, which is actually very comfortable, and also some handy magnets around me so that the seatbelts don't get in the way when I'm getting in. They stay up there. Got a C187 Motec dash logger. The graphics aren't that advanced, but they are very, very clear, which is obviously what you want. And then the work of art in front of me, the steering wheel. It feels super nice to hold with the rubber grips and the carbon backing. And I'm going to take you through the buttons because I think this is super interesting. We've got the flash button for the headlights. You can get people out of the way if you're going quick enough. We've got the radio button so you can talk to the team. OK is an acknowledgement. Drink is to get some water. And then the button up here, S and K, that's literally to start the car or to kill the car. And then EC man or EC manual is to change the clutch from an auto to a manual setting. So with this car, you can pull away using a manual clutch and drive it just like a manual car with the paddle clutches up here. Or you can do it with the auto clutch where the car will handle the biting point for you so that you don't stall and embarrass yourself when you drive out of the pits, which is great. Pit speed limiter, very important, obviously. Full course yellow, that'll slow the car down to a set speed if a full course yellow comes out. Wipers, obvious. Neutral, also obvious. Plus and minus up here, that relates to this center dial, the multifunction, so we can have wipers, electric power steering, air conditioning settings, and the plus and minus will change the intensity of all of those depending on what is selected. And then we've also got TC long and TC lat, which is obviously longitudinal and lateral traction control, which you can change on the fly. And in the center button box, there's also a whole picnic of buttons on this, and ones that stand out, ABS, so you can change the amount of assistance that you're getting from the ABS, and also the brake bias. And apparently they don't change the brake bias over the course of a lap. It's mainly during the course of a stint as the tires wear and as the fuel also gets used. You've also got fire extinguisher, hazards, clutch, reverse buttons on there as well. But the main stuff I think I've covered. And now all that's left for me to do is to actually drive it. As you're about to see, the weather was extremely changeable, so almost all of my driving was done in wet or damp conditions with Pirelli wet tyres on. And this is the result.
So here we are heading down the pit lane at Portimao, ready to go out onto the circuit. Pit limiter off. Oh, hello. That instant hit of power. My word. Wow. Right, let's rev it out. Oh. This engine is phenomenal. It sounds so angry. It sounds furious. It's quite easy to change up early because you think that you've reached the maximum revs and then it just gives you more.
The sound was something else, but, and you've probably heard this before, there's no doubt plenty of road-going cars that have more straight-line pace than a GT3 car. It's very quick, of course it is, but an endless surge of acceleration isn't what this car is about. Rather, it's more focused on the bits in between the straights.
The brakes as well, utterly formidable. It's actually got more pedal travel than I was expecting. It's moving perhaps 20-30 millimeters. It's not completely solid like you may be led to believe, maybe from sim racing. The Bosch ABS system is brilliant. It's a motorsport ABS system, so you can just stand on the pedal really hard and it takes it. It doesn't act like a race car ABS at all. Oh, that grip through the last corner. Tons of mist here. Right, coming into the first corner, double right-hander. Hard on the brakes. Still taking a little bit of a wet line. But this engine is stealing the show. And it's so great that in GT3 you have V8s in the Mustang and the AMG, you have V10s in the Lambo and the Audi R8. Ferrari's got a twin turbocharged V6. There's so much variation. It makes for great racing. Wow, I can see the spoiler moving around in the mirror behind me. It's really moving. Sure, it's supposed to do that. It's fine.
Even as I pitted and watched the track go from nearly dry to greasy back to full wet again, the brawny, physical feeling of the Mustang GT3 was ever present. The immediacy, the lack of any kind of give or damping in any component was very obvious, and it made driving it a proper workout.
It honestly feels like my whole body is vibrating. Oh, my coccyx is just getting pulverized by the vibrations from the engine, and I never thought I'd be saying that. They were saying that they've had some traction issues. They're going to develop that out of the car, but it means that you've got to have the steering very, very straight before you get back on the power and you commit to it. I mean, to me it feels pretty good, but I can, especially in the wet, I can appreciate that you need to be careful even with the TC, which is very welcome right now, let me just say that.
Clearly, this Mustang GT3 is a much newer, less honed model than the other more established racing cars like the 911 GT3R that I drove a couple of years ago. Watching onboards from myself and the pros, it's clear there's improvements to be made, yet this particular car has just come off a better than expected season of DTM racing where assaults on the top 5 weren't unheard of.
Honestly, this has been such an experience. I hope you've enjoyed it too. I've got to say thanks to Ford and thanks to HRT for letting me out in this wonderful car. It really is everything I hoped it would. I love the GTD, but yeah, this thing is this thing is something else!
And with that, my time driving the Mustang GT3 was over. It may not have been the conditions we'd hoped for, but the experience was still no less awe-inspiring.
Whoa. That was quite wet and very slippery. But still, one of the best things I've done all year. It's just the immediacy of everything. The engine, the brakes, gearbox, the suspension. When it goes down on those jacks, then you know what you're in. What a car there. What a car. I feel like an 11-year-old kid again. Or kind of. I feel like an 80-year-old man now, to be honest. But in my head, I feel like an 11-year-old kid.
I've got one final thought about the Mustang GT3, because sometimes when I've driven bespoke build racing cars, their components are so different to the road-going version that they struggle to retain the character of that particular car. It doesn't really matter as long as they're fast, but what I can say about the Mustang GT3 is that it still feels like a big V8 Ford Mustang. It doesn't feel particularly light or dainty, rather it feels raw, direct, and spine-shakingly loud. It feels like a proper muscle car combined with a proper racing car. And that is a pretty spectacular combination.